Hello, this is Frances welcoming you to the 1916th edition of the Enfield Talking newspaper, Dateline, the 8th of August 2013. The readers this week are Katherin, Heather, Malcolm, myself Frances with Audrey in the background, and Dave on the controls. The items that we will be reading come from our local newspapers, the Enfield Gazette, Advertiser and the Enfield Independent, and are their copyright. Our title music is Country Rock Polka, composed by Pat Prilly, Fernand Bouillon, Harry Breur, and performed by Jean-Jacques Perry, and is used with his kind permission. Local stories include Is the Price Right for Shoppers? Hospital wards failed patients, We must act now to slash unemployment, and parking dispute may be the end for Bowls Club. If you are experiencing any problems receiving your Enfield Talking newspaper, please phone Diane de Jersey on 0208 805 6578. She is your listener's representative and will be pleased to help you. And we have no special news this week. And Malcolm will read the first item of local news.
Plans to tempt shoppers to spend far longer have been met with a mixed response after new tariff changes for Enfield car parks were unveiled. In a bid to boost trade, Enfield Borough Council has altered all car park timings to encourage short-stay shoppers to extend their time in the area's town centres. A stay in one of the borough's car parks for 1 to 3 hours will now cost £2.40, the same as the original 1 to 2 hour timing. A 3 to 5 hour stay will match the previous £4 for 2 to 4 hours, and the 4 to 6 hour tariff will now become over 5 hours for £5. However, parking for up to 1 hour will remain the same at £1.20. Mark Watts, 28, of Cheney Walk in Grange Park, was sceptical that the proposed plans will benefit Enfield's economy. He said, "I can see what the council is trying to do here, and I really hope it saves businesses from shutting down in our high streets. Yet so many people are using out-of-town shopping malls where parking is far cheaper. I cannot envisage Enfield competing unless prices are dropped." Chris Patel, 67, who owns Gray's newsagents in the town, Enfield town, said, "Parking has been our big issue in the town. It's driven a lot of people away, but this will help people who are always looking at their watches and allow them to stay longer. We want Enfield to become vibrant once more and not decay." Furthermore, Councillor Joanne Laban, Deputy Conservative Leader and Shadow Environment Spokesman, is concerned about a new ticketless parking system for the Palace Gardens car park, which enables shoppers to pay on foot as they leave without needing to buy a ticket. She explained, "I'm very saddened to hear that as a result of proposed changes to a new non-ticket system, blue badge holders will not be entitled to park for free in Palace Gardens. It seems incredible that they have not seen fit to have a no-pay list using blue badge holders' registrations. Pardon me. It's a basic function, and they should stop the introduction of this system until it works properly. Blue badge holders should be allowed to continue to park in a car park for free like they have been able up till now, regardless of the payment system used. The removal for free parking in car parks for blue badge holders is a blatant act of discrimination against Enfield's disabled and most vulnerable residents." However, Mark Rudling, Town Centre Manager for Enfield Business and Retailers Association, said the changes would give better value to motorists using the car parks. He said these changes will result in customers spending more time in their town centres and less likely to be constantly watching the clock for their parking ticket to expire. Councillor Chris Bond, Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Environment, said the Council is determined to support our traders build up Enfield's economy and help create an environment in which our businesses flourish and create jobs for our residents. He added, "These new parking tariffs will encourage people to stay for longer in our town centres, spend more money in our shops, and give our traders a bit of a boost during this tricky financial period."
Watchdog has slammed managers at Chase Farm Hospital after an inspection found that patients at a surgical ward felt disrespected by nursing staff and that care was often rushed. During an inspection of Canterbury Ward on June the 20th, Inspectors from the Care Quality Commission found that the level of care provided at the 32-bed surgical unit for women failed to meet 4 of the 6 national standards checked. The inspection at the hospital in the Ridgeway, Enfield, was carried out in response to concerns raised about the ward, including complaints by patients and reports of pressure sores from care homes. One patient told inspectors that staff could be abrupt, while another said some staff were inappropriate in the way they spoke. The CQC further found that feedback collected by the hospital trust showed that overall rates of patient satisfaction were significantly lower on Canterbury ward than other wards. There were not always enough staff on duty to meet the needs of patients, and staff also felt rushed, especially during the night shift and if a particular patient needed a lot of support. Finally, while there were systems in place to assess them and monitor the quality of the service provided, the shortfalls in care previously identified internally had not led to improvements. Kieran McGregor of the Save Chase Farm campaign said, "This is another sign that the patients and residents of Enfield are being shortchanged by the NHS." Since 2008, the hospital has been under-resourced and underfunded, with resources going to other hospitals such as North Middlesex and Barnet. We call on all decision-makers to halt the proposed closure of A&E and maternity services, and to put the necessary investment in the borough that the population needs and deserves, he said. A spokesman for the Barnet and Chase Farm Hospitals NHS Trust said, "The CQC report notes that the Trust was already aware of issues on Canterbury ward and has been taking action to address them. We can confirm that we are recruiting more nurses to the ward. We are also reviewing and updating the action plan to expedite improvement and achieve compliance quickly." It is the 3rd CQC report in 7 months to find services at the Trust lacking. In January, the health watchdog raised concerns about the low level of nursing at Chase Farm, while in May, an inspection found that some patients had been left waiting in accident and emergency for more than 16 hours at Barnet Hospital in Wellhouse Lane, High Barnet.
The following article is by Martin Prescott, Winchmore Hill Ward Councillor and Conservative spokesman on business, employment and enterprise. The latest labour market data, just published by Job Centre Plus for Enfield, shows a continuation of the downward trend in unemployment for all age groups. That is obviously a cause for some celebration, particularly for the young and long-term unemployed who have found jobs. However, before the council starts patting itself on the back, it's worth taking a closer look beyond the headlines. Overall, unemployment in Enfield may have fallen in June 2013 to 11.3%, but Enfield remains well above average in London, 9%, and nationally, 7.9%. Worse still, the unemployment rate in Enfield has been significantly higher than London and the rest of the country ever since the last election in 2010. What does this tell us? In terms of employment, the message is clear. Nationally and at a London regional level, Conservative-led strategies and tactics are obviously bearing fruit. For the unemployed of Enfield, sadly, the opposite appears to be the case. For all the bluff and bluster from Del Goddard, Cabinet Member for Economic Regeneration, the facts prove that his Labour administration simply isn't working. When we should be hearing about actions to help local employers now, all we get is talk of more seminars, focus groups and working panels in the future. When we need policies to encourage business growth, what we get are increased parking charges and yet more penny-pinching regulations.
Bowls players say they are devastated that a dispute over parking could force their club to close. Enfield Bowls Club has been in existence for 88 years, but could be forced to shut its doors when it loses its parking spaces at Palace Gardens multi-storey car park on October the 12th. The loss of the bays means that, despite a membership of 100 people, the club will struggle to play home fixtures without being able to provide accessible spaces for visiting teams. Vice President Frank Davey, 79, said, "I'm absolutely devastated by the outcome, as we all are at the club. This club was set up by the council and it's going to be destroyed by the council, as opposition players won't pay £4 to park when they play here. This isn't just a bowls club. We do a lot of other activities such as keep fit classes, dinner dances, quiz nights and trips away, but that will all go now. The club almost closed in 2002 because of arguments surrounding parking spaces, but this time Enfield Bowls Club will succumb because of the limited parking areas around the town. Mr. Davey said, "We have tremendous friendship here, and this is a jewel in the crown of the town park. I have no idea what the council will do with it once we have left." An Enfield Borough Council spokesperson said, "There is significant street parking near the Enfield Bowls Club Pavilion in Town Park, which club members have used for many years. Because of building work taking place in Cecil Road earlier this year, the number of on-street parking spaces were reduced. So, as a gesture of goodwill, the council agreed that club members could park in the Palace Gardens multi-storey car park for an agreed fee for this season, which ends on October the 12th, 2013. We fully expect that the current difficulties with regards to parking around Town Park will be resolved by then, and this temporary arrangement will give the club adequate time to find alternative parking arrangements for the next season, which starts in November."
Two newlywed West End actors have taken up the challenge of scaling one of the world's highest mountains. 4 months after they tied the knot, Phil Barley, 39, and Lisa Benson, 36, of Winchmore Hill, Enfield, will fly out to Nairobi, Kenya, to ascend Kilimanjaro, the highest freestanding mountain in the world. The performers are confident of achieving their goal to raise money for Rise Global Volunteers, who are running a project to help young orphaned and abandoned children in Kibera, Kenya. But training has not been without its hiccups after Lisa broke her hand during a walk up Mount Snowdon. Mr. Barley said, "On top of the challenges of training on a folding bike, having a broken hand and raising £5,000 between us, we also run our own businesses as well as being actors, and we're only in our 4th year of marriage. They say the first year is the most challenging. Do you think they were talking about 7 nights in a tent and no showers on a mountain? With only 66% of people making it to the top of the mountain, they will experience temperatures of up to 30 degrees centigrade by day and minus 20 degrees centigrade or lower at night, all while climbing on average between 1,500 and 2,000 metres a day. But this has not fazed the actors. Mr. Barley said, "Our friends think we're crazy, especially with Lisa in plaster, but we love adventure and it will all be worth it. It's all for a good cause, and we're thrilled to be given this opportunity of a lifetime." The couple will fly to Kenya on August the 22nd before beginning their climb on August the 24th.
This article is accompanied by a colourful picture of a garden party with the caption, "Life's a Picnic." Celebrating the glorious weather in style, housebound residents bathed in the sunshine at a garden party hosted by a charity. Members of the Southgate Housebound and Disabled Association enjoyed strawberries and cream during the annual party on the lawns of Winchmore Hill Garden. But the future of the association, that regularly ferries more than 20 members to events, outings and entertainment, could be jeopardised unless more volunteers sign up to help. "We completely rely on donations and volunteers," admitted the association's chairman, Ian Woodall. "Sometimes it has been tough, but this is so important for people, because for some of our members this is the only time they get out and about. The charity gives people that chance to meet other people and to get out of their own homes when they cannot do that for themselves." As well as the annual garden party, once a month the association hosts Friday night entertainment, when it transports members in borrowed minibuses and private cars driven by volunteers. Membership of the association is free, and it is open to anyone from the Southgate area. Ian is also hoping that volunteers can come forward who can spare a couple of hours on a Friday night to help with transporting some of the members to the nights out. To sign up as a volunteer or to become a member of the association, contact former association chairman Des Woodall on 0208 886 9845. That's 0208 886 9845.
Cruising the streets of Enfield in a stretch limo, a gang of shoppers dressed head to toe in black with matching tote bags bearing the logo Mindful Shopper hit stores around Enfield town last week. But the group of cash-rich retail therapists were not heading for the designer boutiques of central London. Rather, entrepreneur Karen Mercer organised a white Hummer limo to ferry her band of 10 cash mobbers to visit 3 of the borough's charity shops on Wednesday morning. The Mind Shop in Winmore Hill and the RSPCA and Nightingale Hospice shops in Baker Street. First stop for the limo was the Mind Shop, where manager Melanie Barker said she was shocked and a little unprepared by the sudden arrival of the cash mobbers waving £5 notes, which they were determined to spend in full. But, she added, it is a lovely idea, helping local shops, and the money that they spend goes back into helping local people. Last week's Triple Swoop was part of the launch of a Mindful Shopper campaign, encouraging residents to think about the power of the pound in their pocket. Ms Mercer, who owns My Coffee Shop on Platform 1 of Enfield Chase railway station, has organised a series of shock cash mobs throughout the borough over the past year. She told the Advertiser it is about making people realise that although you might feel helpless when you see the high street full of chain stores, you do have the power to change things. Admitting that while some see the spread of charity shops along high streets throughout the country as a nuisance, Ms Mercer is urging people to embrace their charity and vintage shops. People might have been a bit fed up with charity shops opening on the high street, but now you can see it is so much better than the space remaining empty. The shock cash mobbers spent £5 in each of the 3 shops, and although Ms Mercer is moving out of the borough to extend her business empire, she is determined to keep the movement alive. She added, I have so many links to Enfield. The shock cash mobs will always go on, even if a proxy has to do it on my behalf.
Enfield North MP Nick Dubois has publicly defended 2 of the government's high-profile anti-immigration policies. Home Office vans have been touring 6 London boroughs, including neighbouring Barnet, encouraging illegal immigrants to go home. The controversial policy has attracted plenty of criticism, but Conservative MP Mr Dubois denied that the tone of the message was in any way sinister. He said, I don't believe that there is any evidence to suggest that this tactic is in any way racist. The vans with the advice are not targeted at any specific group. They are aimed at people who want to take up the offer to leave the UK voluntarily. The vans have come under fire from anti-racism campaigners who believe their go home message is too reminiscent of racist slogans associated with hate campaigns of the 1970s and 1980s. Chandra Bhatia, Chief Executive of Enfield Race Equality Council, said that while Mr Dubois and the Home Office might not have intended to sound racist, their language and attitude would lead some residents to feel uncomfortable. She told the Advertiser, this kind of thing would make some people feel more vulnerable. Even if they are legal and have all their papers, it still might make them worry about what other people might think of them. Even if Nick Dubois and the Home Office don't mean to be racist, the impression people will have is that they aren't welcome. These vans say, go home. For some people living here who are originally from elsewhere, their home is probably Enfield, so it doesn't make any sense. The other Home Office initiative to hit the headlines last week was the UK Border Agency's spot checks on people close to stations in Stratford and Walthamstow in East London and in Cricklewood and Kensal Green in North West London. It was meant to be a high-visibility crackdown on illegal immigrants, but led to complaints that those stopped were being racially profiled. Mr Dubois said that had UK Border Agency officials been racially profiling people, that would be wrong, but he added that they were doing an essential job. He said if they were racially profiling, that would be completely unacceptable. It would also demonstrate a massive ignorance of the reality of illegal immigration in this country. But people who are here illegally do have to respect the law, and they have to understand they cannot continue to take advantage of the system. That can see people put in appeals taking up to 8 years, by which time they already have an established network of friends and family.
Music lovers are no longer singing the blues and will be listening to them instead on Sunday afternoons in Palmer's Green this month. The weekly concerts at the bandstand in Broomfield Park off Alderman's Hill are being staged every Sunday throughout August, even though Enfield Council has cut off the grant that usually funds the events. Following the loss of funding, 4 music lovers were forced to find creative ways of staging this year's concert series. Not only did they manage to secure funding from the Enfield Residents Priority Fund, but artist Ralph Hutchings stepped into the breach and pledged a generous donation to keep the free concerts a regular feature of summertime in Broomfield Park. This weekend, the 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. slot will be filled by Robbie Martin's Jazzers. Before then, in an hour of open mic performance from 1 p.m., amateur musicians are invited to get down to the park and show off their talents. Our aim is to make this event sustainable with private sponsorship, as we understand the council has less and less money, blues music guru and organiser Dave Thomas told the Advertiser. This combination of funds from different sources means that we can do what we've always done, that is to put on concerts for free for local music lovers. Concert organiser Carl Brown, who is the treasurer for the Palmer's Green Community Festival, which takes place in Broomfield Park on September the 1st, says the concert series is vital to bringing the community together. Things like this make people feel a bit more like they live in a community, he said. They have a chance to meet other people from the area and can feel involved in things that are going on around them. Entry to the concert series is free, but due to the circumstances in which it is taking place this year, the organisers say they will be grateful for any voluntary donations to give to the performers on the day. The event will also be used as a chance to support charities, with the Noah's Ark Children's Hospice in Barnet raising funds this Sunday by selling refreshments to hungry and thirsty concert-goers. Anyone who wants to sign up for an open mic slot should visit the website at www.thevintage.org.uk.
Showing lightning reactions, an aspiring hurdler grabbed a slice of history during the anniversary games as she secured a running spike belonging to Olympic sprint sensation Usain Bolt. Nikita Sartori-Sigrist, who trains with Enfield and Haringey Athletic Club, was in the crowd at the Olympic Stadium in Stratford East London to see Bolt, who struck triple gold in London last year and in Beijing in 2008, win the 100 metres in 9.85 seconds. During his victory lap, the 26-year-old Jamaican threw his spikes into the crowd, and Nikita, who is a 400-metre hurdler, was waiting to eagerly grab one of the 2 running shoes after they fell onto the road behind her. She told the Advertiser, "I didn't think I would be the one to catch it. I thought there would be a mad scramble. I turned around quickly, but no one else tried to grab it." Afterwards, members of the crowd asked to take photos of her with the spikes or to touch them, but no one tried to take them from the former Trinity Catholic High School pupil in Woodford Green. Nikita, who will receive her A-level results this month and is hoping to study English at either Surrey or Colchester University, said her athletics training had probably helped her to have such lightning-quick reactions. The teenager of Loughton, Essex, volunteered at the London 2012 Games and got to carry athletes' kits during the 2-week competition. She lists Bolt and British 400-metre hurdler Perry Shakes-Drayton, whom she also saw claiming a silver medal at the anniversary games, as her inspiration. Nikita now hopes to get into good training group when she goes on to university. Enfield and Haringey coach Brian Hopkins, who trains her at Lee Valley Athletics Centre in Pickett's Lock, Edmonton, said, "She competes at under 20 level at a reasonable standard and hopefully she can progress."
In the face of adversity, a fishing group managed to host its free day despite having equipment stolen 2 weeks ago. Trent Park Outdoor Pursuits team, TOPS, is recovering from the loss of £3,000 worth of fishing equipment, but it was still able to offer the weekly event on Saturday. With gear supplied by the council for the day, families were able to enjoy the sport free of charge, catching a variety of fish. David Gibson, manager of TOPS, said, "This is a great day. We had lots of stuff stolen last week and we've been working tirelessly to get this on. It has been a mad busy week and I am so glad families can come down and take part in fishing. We had cancelled the event, but the council has helped us out with all the basic stuff and it has been a phenomenal journey to get this on." As well as fishing, Mr. Gibson is setting his sights on launching 4 other projects for children at Trent Park. He said, "I am looking to establish 5 different projects here: survival skills, gardening, keep fit, orienteering and fishing, and I have been supported tremendously." Ashton Rolfe Ridley, 8, who has been fishing for 4 years, said, "My favourite part is watching the float go down, and you don't know how big the fish is going to be. I like to pull the rod to the side to see how much it bends to tell how big the fish is." And Jerome Dave, 12, from Winchmore Hill, was having his first fishing lesson. He said, "It's all about patience, waiting for the fish to take their maggot. I love it."
The death of a first aid manager this year was remembered with the donation of life-saving equipment to an Enfield hall. Jason Druitt, 42, who died in January this year, managed first aiders at Enfield Borough Council and succeeded in getting 7 defibrillators placed in council buildings throughout the borough. The machine is used to deliver an electric shock to a person's heart when they are having a cardiac arrest. Following his death, Mr. Druitt's colleagues chose to recognise his dedication to the London Ambulance Service by donating a defibrillator to his wife Helen, which she and the couple's 6-year-old son Luke decided to donate to Forty Hall in Forty Hill. Mrs. Druitt said, "Jason always had affection for Forty Hall, so it seems right that the defibrillator should be placed there. He always put so much pride into his work, and he would have been so pleased and proud to know of this award and that his work still continues to this day." Councillor Bambos Charalambus, Council's Cabinet Member for Leisure, Culture, Youth and Localism, said, "I was proud to be a part of the ceremony where I officially received the defibrillator on behalf of Enfield Council and Forty Hall, where it will be used to save lives. Jason's dedication will be remembered by marking the site of this machine with a special plaque. I want to thank Helen for her kind generosity in nominating Forty Hall for the defibrillator." The other defibrillators are at the Civic Centre, Edmonton Centre, Thomas Hardy House, Millfield Theatre, the QE2 Stadium and the new Mawson Road depot.
One of the oldest churches in the borough is seeking to raise £1 million to preserve the historic building. All Saints Church in Church Street, Edmonton, has been standing since the 15th century and is a listed building, putting it in the top 10% of UK buildings for importance and value. However, the church tower and roof were put on the Historical Building Risk Register in 2010, with the tower requiring major repairs to its crumbling external masonry. Describing it as the jewel of the borough, Edmonton MP Andy Love accompanied the Bishop of Edmonton, Reverend Peter Wheatley, to the church to support the launch of a project to preserve the building and launch a Friends group. Bishop Wheatley said, "All Saints Church is the oldest building in Edmonton and has been at the heart of the community for centuries. The Friends of All Saints is being founded with plans to open the church more for exhibitions and other community events and to help raise the huge sum needed for its restoration." The church has applied to the Heritage Lottery Fund for a grant of £220,000 to help with repairs, as well as staging sponsored walks, tabletop sales and organ recitals to raise funds. After restoring the tower, All Saints will turn its attention to repairing the leaking church roof.
We have now reached the end of side 1 of this tape. Please stop your machine now, take out the cassette, turn it over and start side 2.